Hi everybody, Giselle Grenier here from artplace.ca. For today's project, we're going to be creating a 4x6, what I call a journal prompt card, and which is basically a piece of artwork developed around a theme. Now, you don't have to do this on something 4x6. You can do it on any size you want, using any surface as long as it accepts acrylic paint. So for my card, it's 300-pound watercolor paper cut 4x6. I have a stencil here, and this is a deco art stencil. What's it called? Jacobean Floral. Okay, and we're not going to use it the traditional way. My 10-well watercolor palette, or little paint palette, a misting bottle. I've got some brushes here, two number 8 bristle brushes, a 3/4 inch flat, a number 4 round. I've got a foam brush, a stylus. These are general supplies that I usually have handy. And for the paints, I have a few things on the go. Deco Art Traditions acrylic paint is what we're going to use as the base paint. Phthalo green blue, Derylid yellow, Hensa yellow light, Quinacridone violet, and ultramarine blue. Okay, we're going to use those. Dazzling Metallics Splendid Gold, Paper Effects Peacock Gold, Dimensional Effects, which is paintable texture paste, and Traditions Multi-Surface Sealer and Extender and Blending Medium. Do you guys have an idea about what the theme is for this project yet? Okay, let's go a little bit further. I'm actually going to be creating my artwork on this, okay, because I want to show you some embossing, okay. The theme for this project is called texture. Everything on here is going to have texture. This flat piece of watercolor paper is not going to be flat anymore. There's going to be texture built upon it. If you don't have an embossing machine, you can go to the store and you can buy little cards like this, which are embossed already. And I don't know if you can actually see what this one is. This is little flowers, okay? So you can go to the store and you can buy these in a box set and large. If you do use this, because they are so thin, what you could do is take some decoupage mat, put it in between, okay, seal it, and then take some more decoupage and put a light coat over the whole card. That'll seal it, making it nice and stiff. If you paint on this card as is, because this is very thin stock, the embossing will flatten out. Okay, but if you put the decoupage on there, it dries very quickly, a thin, even coat. Okay, so if you don't have an embossing machine and you want to watch, that's fine. Otherwise, you can just skip. So a card that's already embossed, but I'm going to show you how to do it. As well as the embossing, I'm going to, if you can get little cutouts of flowers and stuff like that, you can get these anywhere they sell arts and crafts. You can get little things like this. You can use buttons if you want, cut out with scissors, little flowers, and we can just paint them, that type of thing. So I'm going to show you how I did these, and it's all about texture. Okay, now I did one card already, embossed it. This is just to show you what it looks like without the paint. We're actually going to paint it then emboss it, so it's actually quite lovely. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to put this aside. You'll also need a piece of torn paper. Now, what I did is, when I get these sheets of paper, they're like 20 by 30 or 20 by 40. It's a massive sheet. And traditionally, watercolor paper around the edges is all deckled like this. Okay? And when I cut my cards like this, I always leave a little bit of this left over. So it was actually like that. Okay? And I'm going to use this as well. If you don't have anything like this, just take some paper, okay, and then just tear like this. Okay? You can just tear it. Don't tear it too straight. Okay? We want it like that. Okay? You can even leave the paper like that. Just, you know, something like this. Okay? So, the first thing, I'm going to tilt my headset here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a resist on this. Okay, everything's going to be textured for this piece, but I want to create a resist for the stencil. I'm also going to be demonstrating on these little pieces of cardstock as well. And what the idea for this piece is that we're going to have a background of these leaves in the background, and then flowers growing up out of the ground with the torn paper as the grass. Okay, and then I'm going to use the paper effects to create the stems for the flowers, and then we're going to paint all that. So it's all going to be nothing but texture. Because this is watercolor paper raw, if we were to put paint on it, this paper, because it's 300 pound, it's going to soak in really, really quickly. So what I want to do is I want to create a resist. So what it's going to be is, think of it as if you were drawing with crayon and then put color on top, and the crayon's going to repel any paint. We're going to do something similar to that. And I'm going to be doing that with the Traditions multi-surface sealer. As well, and I usually say this right in the beginning, you don't need to take notes of the supplies. Everything is going to be listed at the end of the video. Okay. So just position the stencil over the piece, and I apologize for this glare. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. Okay, there we go. So just going to position it there, and you can tape it if you want. I'm not going to need to. What I'm going to do is, as soon as I do this part, I'm going to take this stencil and I'm going to take it straight to the sink and rinse it off. I don't want this sticking on there. I poured a little bit into my palette, and then I'm going to use a foam brush. I'm just going to go in here. The brushes that I have on the side here are soft grip brushes. I may change them up because these projects, I haven't done them ahead of time. These are all being done on the fly, which is what I like to show for creativity. Because I also don't edit out my mistakes. That way you'll know how to address it. I may grab some extra paint brushes or change them up, but regardless, what I do use will be at the end of the video and in the supply list that comes with the video. Okay, so now I've got a nice layer of the multi-surface sealer on here. I'm going to take the stencil and I'm going to lift off. I'm not going to slide because that's just going to smear all the medium. Okay. And then you're left with, let's see if I can get a glare. See, you're left with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is going to pause the camera for a bit, and I'm going to go and wash my stencil and come right back. Okay, while I let this dry, I don't want to use the heat gun on this one. I'm going to let this dry. While that's drying, I'm going to show you a quick demonstration on how we're going to emboss our paper. So I've got the big kick with the multi-purpose platform and the acrylic plate. I also have a texture plate with the silicone mat and the other pad, and that'll do the entire card. And then I've got a wildflower embosslet. The wildflower cuts it out like this, okay? But if you bought stuff like this, that's fine, okay? Just as long as it's embossed. And then she cuts out like that. So I'm going to do one here for the actual little wildflower, and then I'll show you the texture on here. To do the wildflower, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing of how to use the embosser, because you can go onto YouTube and get a gazillion videos on that. So it's Tiny Flowers, a texture plate, which looks like this. Okay, like so. And then paper, depending on what color you want embossed. The silicone mat, the plate. Okay. Now, depending on the thickness of your paper, if you go to run this through and it doesn't go through, it's too thick. Okay. Okay, this is pretty thin. It didn't do too much. There's no way you're going to be able to see that. Let me do it again. Okay, I ran it through one more time, and it's really hard to see when you've got this pattern, but you can, let's get a really good close-up here. See that? I don't know if you can see. We're not embossing this, we're just texturizing it. See that? So I just ran it through one more time because this is the 300-pound paper. It's very thick. Okay, so we're going to be painting our stock, letting it dry, and then we're going to run it through just to get a nice subtle thing. But if you don't have an embossing machine, you can buy the paper already made. Okay, now to do the little flower, you can buy little flowers like this, like these little cutouts here at the store, any store really. And what I'm going to do, put the acrylic plate down. I'm missing an acrylic plate. And okay, just going to put that there. There's instructions, put this side down. Okay, put it on tab 1. And you just feed it through. Actually, hold on a second. Let me just make sure. Yeah, so I want to make sure that the embossed part is going to be at the top. Okay, so you get this little flower that's been embossed in here, but because we have the actual die, it pops out. Okay, so there you go. Now there's two sides to this. There's this side here, which is the emboss. This is the side I wanted to show you. When we actually come to actually cutting these out, this is the side that's going to be embossed. But because it's already painted, it's not going to show up. Okay, so there's the actual embossed. Okay, that's embossed there. I don't think you can see the full pattern there. Okay, that's the back side. Okay, so the texture is in. This is actually embossed. It's going to be like this. So this side is what's going to be painted. Okay, so you can make up your little cards like that. And then the pink one as well, that was the same. You know, just run it through and get the little pink flower. So you need 2 flowers that are the same color, and then 1 flower that's by itself. Alright, I'm going to show you 2 color schemes that you can use for this. I'm going to use the card that I already embossed, and what you can do it like on this one here, and this one here I'm going to do at the end. I'm going to make this one more blue, but I'm going to show you this one first because this is actually quite pretty to do for a background. And what I have in the palette, I've got extender and blending medium over here, ultramarine blue. I have 2 parts extender to 1 part quinacridone violet, my phthalo green, Dairlid yellow, and Hansa yellow light. So with the extender and blending medium, I'm going to pick up a little bit of Hansa yellow light, and I'm just going to paint like this. Okay, wherever I want it very bright. You don't need a lot of paint for this. Okay, take up a little bit of Dairlid yellow into the palette with a speck of phthalo green. That's even too much. That's even too much. Because all we're doing is staining. Okay, we're just staining. Okay, like so. Take a little bit more Dairlid yellow. And just put it in here. A little bit of extender. I'd use extender instead of water. A little bit stronger phthalo. Ooh, that's yeah. Wowzer! Let's knock that down a bit. You'll put a little bit of water there, and you can have it drip. Okay. And you can choose to add more paint, whatnot. Okay, so there's a nice background right there. Okay. That's a pretty background right there. So this is the paper already embossed. Okay, I'm going to put that aside. Now this is the card that has that multi-surface sealer on there that went through the stencil. See, it's almost dry. Okay. The extender and blending medium down first. And I like using the extender because it doesn't leave any solids. The glazing medium does, and this will dry a little bit faster. Okay, ultramarine blue. A little bit more. I'll bring a little bit of water in there. All we're doing is staining the paper. Then I can touch in a little bit of yellow if I want. Okay, closer to the bottom, because that's kind of where the grass is, like so. All right, now the paper towel, and also I usually paint the backs of these. I'm not going to worry about that right now, and I'm just going to pad. And what you've got left is you've got the resist. So where we had the multi-surface sealer, the paint doesn't stick. There we go. Like so. So this is nice if you want to just use the stencil as a resist, or I'll show you this one when it's dry, or if you want to show the card that's already embossed. So I'm just going to dry this and then come right back. Alright, so this one's all finished. Absolutely beautiful. This one's all finished. So you can see the slight embossing. So this is embossed before the paint. Okay, quite lovely. Now I need to do a background for the flowers, which is this is on the back side of this, which is going to be like this. So with this, again, it's all quite rough, quite roughly done. Okay, and just use the extender blending medium here, and I'm going to mix. I forgot to mix this out. This is the quinacridone violet and the extender. For those of you that have been following me for years, know that this is sort of like the formula that we use when creating the acrylics to be similar to watercolors, oils I should say. So I'm just going to pop this in here, can throw in a little bit of yellow. Okay, we're just getting a rough mash. Okay, it's nothing spectacular. If you want your flowers to be deeper, then get them deeper. Okay. I want mine to be just like so. Okay, I'm going to take a paper towel. Just going to get that in there. I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to pop this through the embossing machine with the flower. I'm going to do, you can do 2 green, 1 pink, or 2 pink and 1 green. It's up to you. I'm going to do 2 of each. That way I can compare what I want to see on my design. Alrighty, so I did all my cutouts here. Now again, if you already have flowers like this, you don't need to worry about doing the embossing stage, obviously. So I have some from other pieces of paper that I cut out just to show you how to work out the contrast, because the painting of this can change at any time. It's nice to have different colors of flowers. So this is now embossed. Okay, remember the theme for this is all about texture. See, that's just an extra piece. I'm not actually going to use this one. I'm just going to use this blue one here. And now the actual flowers that I cut was this one. Then I cut 2 of those. So depending if I want to do 2 pink, 1 green, or 2 green, 1 pink. But these are kind of light. So I cut, this is from a different one, so if I had a purple and a pink and a green, that might be pretty. Flowers really aren't green, are they? Let's see if we do it this way. There we go. That's pretty. So we'll use that. And then all these things here, I hang on to these because sometimes these can make for nice little windows and for, you know, stenciling. See if you spray, okay, you get a nice outline with that. What we need to do though is I'm going to take my palette and I'm going to take a dabber. Now these dabbers from Decor, they're for gloss enamel paints, but I use them for this as well. What I want to do is, I don't want any white showing where the die cut was, so I'm going to dip into the quinacridone violet and just dab that off and just do the ends. Sometimes I do this with a paintbrush, but because these are so small, and this will also put a little bit of a nice edge on it. You can use a cosmetic sponge if you want. My cosmetic sponges are all taken up for distress ink, so this works just fine. I will not use this in distress ink, as well as a cosmetic sponge that has been in distress ink. I will not use it in acrylic paint because they're completely different mediums. One experiment that I'm going to do, well, I'll talk while I do this. One experiment that I'm going to do is use the Decor ink effects, and because that's where you paint on paper, then you iron it onto fabric. But so we'll have to do something with that. Okay, so the edges are done with that, and I'm going to hang on to this for a second. I'm just going to kind of blot it out. I'm going to take the Dazzling Metallics now, and just going to squeeze a little bit out. We're going to repeat the same thing now, except we're going to go over the top of the flower. I'm just going to put that dabber in the water. And it's going to use a little round brush. Now what we're doing is we want to just do the top of where it's embossed, the raised part. Okay, don't put too much paint on there, just skim over it. For this, the smaller the brush, the better. And always wipe off your brush. Okay, see, you'll get, let's see if we can get a close up here, so you can get just the raised image with a little bit of paint. Okay, you don't want complete coverage. Okay. And when you, this is supposed to be like that, the sun that just kind of hits the flower, and you can do this in any color you want. I actually started doing embossing as a service for memorial pet portrait cards. I was getting tired of paying the money to buy the cards already embossed and not being the right size, so it actually turned out pretty good. And this one here, yeah, the purple. This one's going to lightly, this one will be really vibrant because it's dark. There we go. Oh, that one turned out perfect. Look at that. You only want to hit the top. Like so. Okay. So they're all done. That goes in there. That goes over there. This goes in the recycle bin. And what we're going to do now is we're going to use our matte medium to glue that down. Okay, decoupage matte medium, and I'm going to pick up, oh, I'm going to use a different little brush. I'm going to use a little filbert brush. And you want that to be fully adhered. Oh, before we do that, yeah, I skipped a step. Your paper effects. Line up your flower. Okay, and you're going to take your paper effects. I'm going to start off, and you're going to draw your stem. Okay, so okay, then this one's here. And one more piece, like so. And make sure you cap that. Now we continue on. Okay. You don't have to let this dry. You can if you want. I'm putting a good amount of this because this is the back side of the embossed piece. I want to make sure that this really sticks well because we can't press it down. If you press it down, you're going to lose the embossed effect. This is the pink one. This one goes purple, pink. This goes on the outside. So you're just going to plunk it down like so. And you're going to lightly press on the outside edges just for a few seconds till it makes contact. You don't want to press hard though. Like I said, because if you're going to press hard, you're going to lose the embossing. Okay, then we'll do the purple. Fill that in. So the decoupage matte medium is also going to serve as a base to kind of hold the flower together. Sort of like a texture underneath. So I'll make sure that I add this little brush to the supply list, because this is something I wasn't planning on using. This decoupage matte medium, it looks white, but it dries clear. So I have a tiny bit seeping out there, but it's going to dry clear. Here we go. And I was going to use the paintable texture, and now I don't think I want to. I will though. There we go. Stay. Okay. Once you've got that down, okay, where it's not coming up anymore, you can take a little paint bottle. Actually, this one's good. Little paint bottle, and the way that the actual thing is curved, it goes in. The contact is only being made with the outside. So it's going to press the outside and not the inside. See, I don't know if you can see that. See? So the contact is only being made with the outside rim. All right. So now we're going to let this fancy drying tool set up. And we're looking at probably, I'm going to let this sit for about a half an hour to let this really tack up. What we're going to do when we come back, I'm going to come in with some paintable texture paste, and I'm going to put it here to make it look like little mounds of grass. And then we're going to be painting that grass strip as well. And we're going to glue that right on top of that little grass mound. And then our texture card will be finished. Okay, we're back. Had to let this dry for a little bit longer. So now we're ready to do some more. So I'm going to take some of this paste. And I made up a mixture already. And I took, if I had to measure it, I don't like measuring, but 20 parts of Dairlid yellow and a speck of phthalo green. You just want to make it a bright green. If you've got chrome oxide green in Traditions, that's okay too. Just make it a bit more yellow. I'm just going to take this. Now I actually want to put it in here because I want to add the paint to it. And I'm not going to make this terribly thick because it'll take forever to dry. You can put this on raw, then paint it, or you can add the paint to it. This is just to create a little bit of texture. There we go. If you add too much paint, you won't be able to manipulate it. Okay. All right. Put that aside. I'll take my palette knife. And with this now, I'm just going to put it right about here. So I have to think of that little paper strip that I have, where it's going to go. I'm going to just use this one for an example. And what I want to do is I want to have this lift up a little bit and have a little bit of the green showing. Okay. So just something like this. And this part's optional. You don't have to do this. I just want to cover the stems. The theme for this one is it's just simply called texture. It's all about adding texture to your art. And then from here, I can go up and down, and that'll make it look like grass. Okay, or you can just leave it flat. That's up to you. Like so. This will take probably about 2 to 4 hours to totally cure. Okay, and that's unfortunate that this is a waste now. And I also painted the back of this, and I used Glamour Dust Sapphire Blue just to put a coat of that. It was just to kind of clean up the card a little bit, just to make it a little bit neater. Okay. So I'll let that sit for a bit, and I'll go work on another project. Oh, wait. I was a little soon on that. The paper effects I did for the stock, the stem, the stock, just put a little dot right in the middle of the flower. Like so. Now this is also dimensional, so it will stick up. So everything so far on this card is textured. Everything. It's a card you can actually touchy-feely. And now that I look at this, I don't even know if the paper is even necessary. So I was going to do that and just paint it, but I don't think it's necessary now. You know what? I'm not going to bother. I like that just the way it is. That looks so much nicer than with the paper. No, I'm not going to put the paper on it. I'm going to leave it just the way it is. I absolutely like that. That color's really turned out nice. Okay, so I'm done. I'm finished. Oh my goodness. The only thing left to do is once this is completely dry, and I probably could have did this now knowing that I wasn't going to do any more, on the back, I like to kind of, put the prompt that's on there. And for this one here, it's just called texture. So just to give you an idea how I lay that out, just get random stamps. You can even handwrite it if you want. And what I like to do is just lay the stamps out. Okay. And because I only have one sheet of this, the letters will end up being reused. So I'll lay this out like this, and then I'll go like this, like this, like this, and like this. Okay, then I'll kind of move stuff over a little bit. Like so. So now I know it'll fit. So I'll take my acrylic plate. I'll go like this, just press it down. And I know that I can stamp this, okay, like that. And then when I've stamped that, then I'll take the T off, put it on the little plate, and just fit it in to finish the word. Okay, so I'll stamp it like that, take it off, take the T, put it in a little plate, stamp that, put it back, take the E, put it in a little plate, and stamp that, so the whole thing will be there. Or you can just handwrite it. It doesn't really matter. All right. So there we go. So that worked out pretty well. So I'm going to leave this the way it is. And I'm not going to add any more moisture to it because I don't want to lose all this embossing. But see the nice effect when you actually use the multi-purpose sealer, the multi-surface sealer as a resist. Okay, it works out quite nice. Okay, if you didn't have texture paste and you wanted to use paper, what I would have done is, once it's dry, take some decoupage onto the back of the paper, put it onto your card, and then take some paint and just paint over the paper. It would have been like that. And just paint any color that you want over the paper. I would have used the same green anyways. 20 parts Dairylid yellow and a speck of phthalo green, and just painted the paper. Okay, but that turned out really pretty, so I'm going to leave that the way it is. So, that shaved off about, 4 hours of drying time, and then about another 15 minutes of gluing. So we'll leave it at that. So give this a try. These little postcards make great swap gifts, or you can put them into a little book. These ones I'm actually creating for a large project, and they're going to be distributed, and they're just going to be bound with rings, and they're going to be distributed. So I really hope that you enjoyed this, and join me next time for our next project. Until then, stay inspired.